like to do that. I accept.
Okay, good. Well, he's coming on the show next week. What is it about St. Louis County as a county executive that you can do better than Rick Stream?
Well, I've got a professional background that lends itself very well to the job. I've been a CPA for 20 years. I've been an attorney for 17 years. I've been on the St. Louis County Council for 6 years, and my record on the St. Louis County Council is a record that I'm very proud of, and it's a record of basically standing up for taxpayers. Where I thought things were going wrong and they were not in the best interest of taxpayers, I stood up and let my voice be heard. And I think we did a lot of good things on the council in my years on the council. And I think I've got a vision for St. Louis County that includes economic development, bringing jobs back to St. Louis County, reversing the population loss. And those are things that I think are really important to St. Louis Countyans.
I think a big thing that's going to be a big topic will be the proposed city-county merger. What is your stance on that?
Sure. Well, I've said all along, and my position has been consistent throughout. I'm not going to make any political decisions with regard to a city-county merger or a consolidation. As proposals are made, I'm going to evaluate proposals on an objective basis, and rather than making a political decision, we're going to make an analytical decision. What are the potential impacts of the proposals? Because, some people talk about merger, some people talk about reunification, some people talk about basically creating a unigovernment where all layers of government are essentially eliminated, from fire districts to school districts. There's a number of different permutations that could be seen, and we need to really take an analytical approach and evaluate any possible option, both qualitative and quantitative factors. What are the impacts? They need to be determined.
I was talking to a business owner yesterday that I will not mention their name, but they do business all throughout the St. Louis County. And they said that these small municipalities are a hindrance to business. They nickel and dime them with permits and this and that for no other reason than just to make a couple of extra bucks, which is an impediment to their growth. Is there anything you can do as a county executive?
Well, I think as a county executive, I think you can show real leadership among the various municipalities that we have. And, we have 90 municipalities. So we do have, and many of those municipalities have different codes. They have different permitting processes. And so for small businesses, it can be daunting if you're doing business in multiple municipalities. So That is a real issue. But, one of the things that could be done, and one of the things that people have talked about, is to get together with the municipalities and try to put together some uniform basic codes that provide some consistency among our municipalities. And that's something that I would be interested in talking about very much.
Yeah.
And in particularly, when we're dealing with unincorporated St. Louis County, there's a very large portion of the county that is unincorporated. And, streamlining our processes in the county for businesses is very important as well.
Yeah. A lot of people talk about this reunification. Kelly mentioned it. Some towns have come out in a non-binding resolution said, we don't even want to talk about it. We don't even want to think about it. What power would the county executive have in determining how it will play out?
Well, I think that it sort of depends how it happens. In any event, there needs to be a vote of St. Louis Countyans. St. Louis Countyans need to have a say in it. So the people will have the final say. That's what I think is most important to me. However, like I said, I think that there are ways to, there are sort of political things that can be employed, as well as some legal and procedural things that can be employed as to kind of how the whole merger consolidation topic is approached.
Right.
So, and I think that's where the county executive comes into play, really. And once again, people are going to be coming forward with proposals. There's groups doing studies. Multiple groups are doing studies. Those studies it sounds like they're going to be complete in 2015.
Right. We don't even know what it's going to look like. So there's people are talking about it, but we're all talking about things and having opinion on things that no one knows what it's going to look like.
Right. And, and there are so many scenarios and so many different ways that it could play out. And that's why I've taken an analytical approach to it, because there is not a single proposal on the table yet. And we're all talking about the issue, and it is a very important issue. There's no doubt about that. But it almost hasn't become an issue yet. It's not ripe for a decision because we don't even know what it looks like. I mean, at this point, to say, someone's in favor of a merger. Well, just for example, we don't even know what the impact of that merger would be. We wouldn't know what the debt situation was of the two entities,
right,
and how that debt would be combined, or what would happen with any debt that might happen. We wouldn't know who would be taking care of infrastructure, such as arterial roads. We wouldn't know who was
no one's really taking care of the roads anywhere, so I don't think anybody would be in charge of that.
And some would definitely argue that as well. And so, you have healthcare functions. I mean, you have a number of different things that come into play. And unless you have a proposal and its various impacts, there's really no way to make a determination. And it's not a gut type decision where you can say, but I can tell you this. I mean, I'm very much in favor of consolidating services wherever possible,
right,
to make them cheaper. And we've done some of that already.
Is there any,
and in fact, we've done a lot of that already.
Is there anything you can do as county executive to protect the parents of Normandy from the state and getting the state to actually follow the state law up in Normandy?
There is no direct line authority of the county executive over that situation, but I do think that it's really important that the leader of 1 million people do whatever he or she can do to protect our kids in our county and stand up for them. And I did that on the council just about 3 or 4 weeks ago,
right,
when I was speaking out about the situation in Normandy. And there was some real political pushback for me doing that, and I didn't mind it then, and I'm not going to mind it in the future. I'm going to stick up for our kids.
The race with you and Dooley got pretty heated, and it got pretty personal, including him saying that you were supporting and defending pedophiles and sex traffickers. Do you expect the race to get that dirty with Rick Stream?
I don't expect it, and I really didn't expect it in the last race. I really didn't expect it. But, I can tell you this from our side. I am not, as the candidate, I would not run anything like that in a race. I just would not get personal with the other candidate. It's not about, it can't get to that level, and I wouldn't do that. And I think what you saw in my ads was, factual ads that, talked about issues that were important and that sort of revealed and talked about the county executive's record. And I think you will see that. There will be a spirited debate, and we will examine, I'm certain, one another's records, because when we look at someone's history in their voting record, particularly where you have legislators, I think you can sort of build a trajectory for what the future is going to look like with respect to those individuals. And I think that that's fair game, and I expect my record to be looked at, and I hope that, Mr. Stream expects his record to be looked at.
Steve Stenger, St. Louis County member, and he wants to be he is the Democratic nominee for county executive. He wants to be your next county executive. So you're on record. You will debate Rick Stream in our new TV studios between now and the election.
Yes, I will. And, if we could arrange for that sometime, maybe in October, that might be a good time for that.
Do you have a day in mind? Or
no, I don't.
Okay.
But, just a little later on.
You do not dictate the time or the questions. That is up to the Presidential Debate Commission, okay? Otherwise, we just know we have an official yes for you. Steve Stenger, thanks for coming in, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you down the road.
Thanks a lot.
You got it. Back in a moment, Big 550. Actually, let me do this.